Just before I start quickly, I would like to tell you that please like the video if you enjoyed. Like, it really shows me what to do. Like, it genuinely helps me so much. And if you learn anything, like the video as well. Tell me what you want to see in the future, any guides, and I'm happy to make them. Brawlhalla neutral game is different to almost every single other fighting game because it's a platform fighter. Most fighting games, you have long, massive combos which could be locked in for about 4 to 5 seconds if they do it right. With Brawlhalla, the highest combos are maybe a second or two long, and this means that neutral is way more important in games like this. And this guide is going to show you how to win neutral and the key characteristics to what makes a well-rounded neutral player. So let's get straight into it. So the first topic, and arguably the most important topic, is pressure. Pressuring your opponent can be done in many different ways, and on screen I'll be showing you a few ways you can pressure your opponents, and maybe there'll be some in-game applications in the background footage behind. But pressure on different weapons consists of throwing different attacks near someone, or just using dash and your movement to close the distance and put them in your threat range. Pressuring can be done in many different ways. One of them is simply attacking. Pressure can be formed by hitting your opponent, whiffing like near them can give pressure, and genuinely being close to them. One of the things you'll see professional players do a lot with pressure is dashing into their opponent, or dash jumping into their opponent and getting near to their opponent. Putting them inside your threat range, which is where your attacks hit, makes them scared and nervous and pressures them inevitably to do something stupid, like maybe burn too many jumps, or burn their dodge, or be out of position in general. And you often see players with high pressure being called aggressive, but these are two different things. Pressuring your opponent a lot, you can still be very passive, waiting for them to attack, because you can simply dash into them, wait for them to make a mistake, then punish. But some players are just extremely aggressive, and they use the pressure that they form by actually attacking, maybe dash jumping into their opponent, or jumping into their opponent, dashing at their opponent, and actually throwing out the attack. Now, pressure is a two-way cut. Too much pressure and you may overextend, too little pressure and you may allow them to pressure you, and you to have less stage control. Now, how to form a lot of pressure is stage control. See, if you are holding the center of the stage and they are on the right or left hand side of the stage, they are more pressured, they have less space to move, and they are more likely to make a mistake. And this leads me straight on to the next point of map control. Map control is the single most game deciding part of Brawlhalla, because if you have the center of the map, it means that you will die less early and you will kill your opponents earlier if they are at the sides, and this also gives them less space to move. And this is extremely useful when you're playing a weapon with big threat coverage. If you can push them to the side or the edge of the stage, the edge of the stage is actually perfect because they have to come to you. You are putting them in a disadvantaged state and they have to touch the stage, which is where you are, meaning you can find a punisher. So the way you get good stage control is by pressuring even more. If you run at a blasters player and they run away and don't throw out an attack, you have gained a bit of stage. You may think that a weapon with high range might be overpowered or too good because they can just run away from you. But if you just control more than half of the stage, if you control the entire left side of the stage and like half of the right side, so they only have 25% of the stage to work with, or they have to go behind you, which would probably mean they dodge behind you and then you can punish. So stage control is very important, and think about that when you're playing the game. Don't give up stage control for free. Don't run to the other side of the map. Pressure them hard and it may work. Or if you're a player who doesn't want to pressure them hard, doesn't need the stage control and can work in that small space, then you can do it. Now, this one is going to be unique to Brawlhalla and no other fighting game, and this is weapon starving and weapon toss. Right, we're going to cover weapon tossing later in how to break neutral game, but weapon starving is you're going to be picking up the opponent's weapon so they are stuck with unarmed or the weapon you know they are less comfortable with. Now, this can be very useful. okay, unarmed is not as strong as other weapons. And I'm going to say that in very big asterisks because it is good in some cases and better than weapons could be in some cases, but mostly you are at a disadvantage when you play unarmed. That's just how it is. And if you can keep them at a disadvantage by weapon starving, then you can win neutral almost every single time if you have a decent weapon. Because if you have a weapon and they don't, then they're going to just try and pick up the weapon, they're going to panic, and you're going to be able to beat them. But you'll see that good players don't get panicked when they're unarmed, and they just fight normally. And this is where picking your weapon against unarmed does very well, because katars, for example, katars do extremely well against unarmed. So if you're playing a katars legend, you weapon starve them, you pick up katars, and then you fight them with unarmed, because if you have katars and they've unarmed, you have a very big lead. Now, baiting is something that can be done on many different weapons, almost all the weapons, which is throwing out an attack which you think they're going to try and punish, and then punishing them for trying to punish you. Now, this can be done very well on a weapon like bow. You'll hear a lot of people talk about people who are like backdash warriors, or people who backdash on bow, and that is because a move like bow sidelight, right? When you throw a bow sidelight, you can dash away from your opponent before a lot of them can punish it. So then you try to punish it, and then you get punished for it. So if you have I'll give many examples here. Katars side light, Katars neutral light, Gauntlet N light, Gauntlet Nair. There's a bunch of different, like any move which is relatively fast or doesn't have much recovery time, and you can punish them, you can bait them into trying to punish you, and then get a nice punish on them. Now this is more of a trick than a way of actually getting better at neutral game, but it can work significantly, especially if they are very pressured. You know, if they're in a last shot situation and they're panicking, and you throw a move, they try and punish it, you dodge it, and then you get the hit on them. And that is a good little trick to break neutral game if you're not good at it. Now, I've talked about this before, like just now, but punishing is extremely important. Punishing. Giving the optimal punish in neutral game is one of the best ways to get higher damage on your neutral engagements, right? So a neutral engagement is when two players kind of parrying around each other and one person gets a hit, right? Now, getting an optimal punish would be, okay, think about sword, right? If someone whiffs an attack in front of you, many of you might sword N light or might sword side light, but the optimal punish would be to go for something like down light to dare or down light recovery, so you can kill them if they're at low percent and get the highest possible damage at high percent. This will increase your neutral game like potential, because if you hit them with a down light dare, then you hit them with double the damage that something like a side light would do. And this means just from doing that, you have won the equivalent of 2 neutral exchanges if you hadn't have done that. And that is why weapons with true combos and genuinely heavy weapons have a good neutral Now I'm going to cover some of the best ways to break neutral game, and some of the best ways that someone who doesn't like neutral game can avoid it, because this also isn't going to be something for everyone. Neutral game is something that you have to play no matter what, you know, it's how Brawlhalla works. But if you're not good at it, there's a way of minimizing risk, right? And number one is playing extremely aggressively. If you play very aggressively, which is very high risk, it means you can cut out a lot of the footsie neutral game that you might not be too good at, and get straight into trying to get your opponent to kind of box with you and spar with you. And trading is the best thing for you as someone who's bad at neutral. Have you ever got an engagement where you get hit, then you hit, then you get hit, then you hit over and over again, right? And that is called like exchanging or trading, right? And if you get someone to trade with you and you are bad at neutral, this is good, because they're forgetting all the things that they might be good at, and they are just going hit for hit with you, which could be good, especially if you're a player who has a good combo game and good string game. So someone like me, for example, I think my neutral is quite weak compared to my combo and string game. So I like to play the game like in a very fast-paced manner, and I also like to play a very up-close and personal sort of gameplay to try and get them to make very stupid mistakes. I am a high-pressure player, because In footsies, I'm really, really bad. In the gameplay you're watching, that is me trying to play good neutral. You'll notice if you watch any pro gameplay, everything I've just said, stage control, pressure, weapon starving, baiting and punishing, will all be optimized to the best degree. Keeping advantage state, which is when you win neutral, is also extremely important. That is like classic edge guarding, ledge trapping, you know. Keeping your pressure is very important, and the way you can do that the best is by calming down, right? Calm down. When you get a nice string, calm down, wait for them to do. They might wake up, they might dodge, and then carry it on. You don't have to get one dodge and then go absolutely ham, or don't have to get one hit and then try and, you know, get like hundreds, you know. Get 1 or 2 hits and then you reset, you think, and then you carry on. And that is how you keep neutral. And that's going to bridge me on to how to win neutral more often. And again, calm down. If you're getting pressured very hard, relax and think about what to do. What is the composed thing to do? You see, relaxed and slow are 2 very different things. You can be relaxed and you can be quick, and that is going to be something that you really, really are going to want to do. If you're wondering how you can apply all of these things to get a good neutral game, it's actually very easy, right? So I'm assuming you guys are gold or platinum, right? So these tips are going to be aimed at the silver, gold, plat, where you know how to play the game, you know the combos, but you think your neutral's lacking, right? And the main way you're going to apply these steps is first, look at your neutral options, right? Each weapon has different neutral options, so therefore a different way you should play neutral. We're going to go through spear, right? So it's a very linear weapon. Spear is neutral. It's very, very good, okay? If your opponent is very grounded and not throwing many attacks, you use N-Light. If your opponent is very jumpy, you use D-Light and try and catch their jump. And if your opponent is very aggressive and trying to hit you all the time and whiffing, and you get them to whiff, you Sidelight to punish, right? And then go for the read from there. So these 3 tools have given you a situation. That means if they jump, grounded, or are aggressive, you can punish them for it. And now, look at what your weapon has, right? Well, I'll go for a different weapon, Scythe. If your opponent is extreme, like starts to sit quite far away, outside of their threat range and be very passive, you use D-Light to try and get that long range hit, right? If your opponent is very jumpy, you can use Jump Nair. If your opponent tries to get on top of you all the time, you can use N-Light. And if your opponent likes to play close and in your threat range, right, you can use Sidelight. It's as simple as knowing what your options are and then applying them. When I see my opponent jumping a lot on Scythe, I will dash, jump, and nair. But don't do this all the time. See, look at what you can do. If they're jumpy all the time and you've caught them with 2 dash, jump, nairs, next time you dash jump, they're going to dodge. And then they dodge and you punish. So it's all about conditioning your opponent, right? If you do something twice in a row, if you get the same read twice in a row, they're most likely not going to do the same thing, so you can cut it out. But if they keep doing the same thing over and over again, you keep punishing them, they will be conditioned to stop. So you can see this and in change of playstyles, right? If you watch pro gameplay, as I've said before, all pros have amazing neutrals, right? If Sandstorm gets 2 in dodge reads, right, versus Boomy, right, on Scythe, then he will stop dodging in. And if Boomy gets 2 jump reads, then Sandstorm will stop jumping. And you can use that to your advantage. Anyway, that was just some fundamentals in neutral. I had quite a lot of fun like talking over this. This is a voiceover, not a live com. Normally it's live. But if you like my channel and want to see more, please give it a like. And I really do hope you learned something. If you can take one tip away from this, is that calm down. Everyone always gets so pressury and like eager to win in Brawl, but if you just take it slow, then you can see. If you have any questions, you know, come on my stream. I am streaming right now if you're watching the video. I'll probably be live, honestly, I'm not going to lie. I'm always live now. Make sure to follow my Twitch and ask me any questions about neutral and how to win on each weapon, best tools. I'll happily do that for you. Anyway, make sure to sub and I will see you in the next video.